so many guys out there. We don't know say was anymore. The drama continues as always. We just had a president. But you want it to be true, you make it true. So you get clicks, but when you go personal, what's really going on? Like, what's going on, y'all? This Greg. Greg said it. Back with another one. All right, y'all. What's going on? What's going on? Here we Greg said it live this wonderful Sunday. We on time. On time. Didn't have nothing really going to make me not on time today. But glad for everyone who's here and also who's watching this on the replay right now. Y'all, it is July 27th, 2025. I'm going to time stamp this. It's that time of year already. Y'all, the camp has started. Training camp with the NFL has started. We all know what the hot story is. Colorado's right around the corner from getting their stuff up and going for this season. So it's here. There's no rush. It's here. August is a few days away, and we know at the end of August we got some games, college games at least. NFL's preseason will be starting shortly. So we're here. The long-awaited football season that so many people act like, I can't wait the football season. And it's come and go. It'd be October, November. The thing, football and the NFL goes pretty long. It goes, especially if a team make the playoff. But college football is pretty much over as of November. And if you're gonna watch some teams, or you have some teams you're gonna watch in the playoff, you got to pretty much just watch some rinky-dink bowl games throughout December, and then the playoff has been extended, so it started a little earlier. So it goes all the way into early January. So we on that run, y'all, from now to January. And then, if you're a really super duper fan, you watching the off season. We're going to see what well off contribute and all that good stuff. So what's going on? Sabrina, what's going on? But y'all want to talk about something, because I did a couple videos, and I think we got kind of news yesterday with the Shedeur situation. I don't know how to feel about as far as the whole, what it really means. I don't know if it's like being made a big deal, or is it a big deal, but we'll know. Where Shedeur supposedly got some opportunities or some eyeballs. The fans were out there. They said the coaches went down and checked him out. They said he got some higher reps, with the second team, at least some first team. And numbers wise, him and Pickett pretty much hand in hand overall. That's with the limited reps. That's with this and that. And they can say, oh, that's only with the JV. But numbers wise, touchdowns, he don't have any interceptions, Pickett do. And just far as the percentage, the completion percentage, it's pretty much about the same. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. But I wanted to talk about something briefly. And I think I mentioned it before, but I think at the end of the day, it's something that they've forgotten about Shedeur Sanders. And I talked about that before. And this is why you don't really play with somebody like this. This is really built for Shedeur. People don't remember. A lot of these people from the Cleveland fans, they didn't pay attention to Shedeur. Like they said, they watch Ohio State or whatever. And they didn't pay attention to Colorado. They weren't checking for Shedeur. Only certain people really watch Shedeur. Really following his career. A lot of those people have. Some of them have. This is what they don't know about Shedeur. Shedeur is built for pure passing. He's a pure passer at the end of the day. What does that mean? If you look at his history, Shedeur has always thrown every single season from the time he started. You play him down at Jackson State, you say Colorado sucked. No matter how bad his line was, no matter whatever the situation was around him talent-wise, Shedeur always been one of the most documented pure passers. His passing percentage is always in the top. Sacks and all. The whole season. He's going to throw you mid 70s to high 70% pass completion. Why is this important? I'm going to give you one statement that Coach Prime used to always make. And this tells you a lot about Shedeur and why they're so flabbergasted right now. They said, Shedeur, Coach Prime said, if you keep two upright, let me know if y'all remember that in the chat. If you keep two upright, we can win. Now that sounds like, daddy ball, and it sounds like, he just favoring his son. But he's also his coach. He said, who's been with Shedeur his whole life, and we watched it. If you ain't putting pressure on Shedeur to the point where everybody's game plan was to take advantage of that murky line, because they knew, even the commentators would say it the whole game. They would say, all they gotta do, is if he gets some time, he would surgically dissect you. Everybody who he played against knew if you don't put the pressure on Shedeur, he will destroy you. He will pick you apart. So let's fast forward. This 7-on-7 environment is conducive to Shedeur Sanders, whether they know it or not. You just got your man on his man and his ball placement. He's already accurate as a passer in the scenario where you blitzing him with a sorry line. He ain't throwing 50% and getting body slammed every play, doing before and after the play. He's throwing 70s with that. So when you put him in this a pure, your man against my man, he gonna eat you alive. So you would wonder why everybody's surprised. They don't seem to understand that. In the environment where it's just my arm against you, you in trouble. He's gonna make passes, drop in the bucket, tight window. He ain't got no lineman putting his hand up. He don't have nobody chasing him. He was throwing 70% with that. Running for his life. Running opposite direction. Running against the grain. Somebody breathing down his back. Juking and jiving. Then throw the ball 50 yards down the field. Like we seen what he did in Baylor. Against Baylor. We seen the Brady mode game after game that first season. We seen what can happen. Even when you put pressure on him, he can find a way to beat you because of his accuracy, his ball placement. So when you get him out here in Cleveland, and they just like and they trying to talk against it every way they can. Well, it's JV. He throwing to the water boy. He throwing to the managers. You say that as if that's supposed to be something against him. That means people say that they either foolish or they never played ball a day in their life. What's going on? They either never played ball a day in their life. Well, they the most hateful people ever. Because if anything, less talent is supposed to make your production go down. Since when does your production go up with less talented? You say that as if your child. Like, if he's throwing a high percentage with less talent, it's not an excuse. Because that either means either he can play with anybody, or you say, imagine what he'll do with other talent, or he has the ability to make lower talent great talent. For example, the receiver he's throwing to that's getting all the highlights. I call him a walk-on. But basically, you call him free agent. Undrafted free agent. He's like, he just throwing to this little short Western real receiver. What you call it, little receiver up there back when in Brady day. He always had those little bitty Caucasian receivers. They just tear you up. He got one. And it's like, That's really the sign of great quarterback is the type of players that they develop around them. Usually people nobody checking on. Usually no name players. That's what Brady was known for. The Patriots was not known for stacking their team like a lot of teams try to do today. He was known for having a bunch of no name people beat the mess out of you till they become a name brand. And even then they can be just average, but they're team players. And he worked with what he got. He didn't have to go and have 3, 4 all-stars at receiver and this, that, and that. Just fundamental teams. So when you see a guy like Shedeur able to make the JV look like the varsity, that is more of a compliment than if he went down there and he had Judy and a whole bunch of receiving. He did it with them because then that's where your excuse should be. Your excuse should be at that point. Well, he got a bunch of good players around because that's what we say about even with Gabriel at Oregon. You're not proving nothing to me. Most of them quarterbacks I talked about before, they come out of the SEC, don't do nothing because they surrounded by 5 stars. You don't really know what they could do. And then usually if you go top in the draft, you go onto a sorry team. You ain't surrounded by talent now. Now we see who you really are as a quarterback. Unfortunately, you find out a little too late. And that's why a lot of these great college quarterbacks who on these great teams go national championship, they don't do nothing in college because it really wasn't them. It was the team. And now you put them on a bad team and nobody, his career over after a couple seasons. He backup quarterback for the rest of his career. That's the typical SEC quarterback. People think that they're so grand and so great. You're not that great. You're not that great. You just had a great coach, a great team, a great system, and you played your part. Said Caleb, pure example. Yeah, I mean, Caleb was he struggled at USC because he didn't have around, but he still was a good quarterback. But most quarterbacks are a product of their system. Most quarterbacks are only as good as what you put around them. Do you got a good running back to support them? Do you got you a couple, top flight, all pro receivers? That's what helped. Most quarterbacks can't carry the team with no names. They can't carry the team without a lot of resources. Most people can't, like you said right here, Caleb Sack. Most quarterbacks can't take that, especially they ain't used to it. They can't take getting sacked and still wait and come up and say, I'm going to keep playing without being discouraged and frustrated. And it's like, why don't y'all block? And kind of like sabotage. Most people can't do that. Most people can't do like, it seemed like the more Shedeur got body slammed, the more he got hit. It became a known thing. He played better. Matter of fact, in a sick way, he played worse when the game was easy than when it was tough. To the point we felt like he liked to play from behind because it gave him something to go for. Sometimes he get ahead of you and he take his foot off the gas. Shedeur played better. He's built for pressure. Now, hopefully he will be able to accept the easy games as well. But he is built for pressure. He's built for your line not that good. He's built for taking over a team that only won a few games the year before. He's built for not having all the talent the other team have and still competing. He's built for that. His whole college career has been coming to programs that rebuild and reestablish themselves and building a name with a new coach, with questionable turnout. He ain't walk into no team that won a championship before, a conference or a national championship. He ain't walk into Alabama who don't dominate for the last decade or Georgia. He didn't walk into that. How do you compare him to that? Even when Cam Ward went down there to Miami, the guy the year before, he got there. These 1 year quarterbacks or whatever, pay them all that money to get ready to go pro. I don't know what they do in the pro, but he lost some games that he shouldn't have lost, and the coaches did some weird stuff that year before. But Miami was considered a premium team. As far as talent is concerned, everybody was trying to figure out why they couldn't win. So when Cam Ward went, we just knew they was going to win because all they needed was a quarterback because they lost the other one. I had a lot of talent at receiver that people called them out, and a lot of 4-star, 5 stars that was already there. The line was already good. And there was never a questionable part about his line. He didn't have a lot of pressures and stats on him. So it was never a question of what he was walking into. He didn't walk into a losing team. We seen what he did when he walked into a losing team. He did the same thing Shedeur did at Washington State. Except Cam Ward was there for 2 years and lost 2 years. Shedeur only lost 1 year at Colorado. He had a winning season his second year. So let's do the proper comparison. I've already compared before. Y'all can go back and look at some videos about why you make a big deal about Cam. Cam didn't win no conference championship. They didn't go to the playoffs. He didn't win. He won a quarterback war. He wasn't the gold arm. I mean, he went to the Heisman. He didn't win that, but he was number one pick. I have not seen a number one pick really at a quarterback position who didn't win the Heisman. Usually they go with the Heisman. You weren't finna beat Travis. You weren't finna beat Janty. What did he do significant? He had a good year, not too much more different than Shedeur, yet he went first and Shedeur went 144th. That's the comparison you should be making because the numbers were identical. Even though they weren't technically on identically talented team, according to what people say. He went first, even if he didn't go first. They ain't hear about the first. How is it such a gap between the picks? Because there was other quarterbacks picked in between. Yet, you don't pick a Shedeur to 143 picks later, even though their numbers are not 143 worth of a distance. Let me give you a prime example. I told you, I think it was on 3 last year this time. Colorado's getting ready to play North Dakota. They had a little graphic out there. I would show. I ain't gonna put it up. And I've seen it a couple times on the internet. Guess who's at number 1? As far as, NFL prospects. They had like the top 10. Shedeur Sanders was number 1. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it up. I'm not going to put it on the screen, but I'm going to put it up. Because I have it on my Facebook page. Make sure y'all go check out. I'm going to be doing a little more. I add stuff on there. But make sure y'all go check out Greg Said It. I'm on Twitter. I think it's Greg Said It Tweets. I'm on Facebook. Greg Said It. And I'm also on Instagram. And I'm looking at other stuff. They always got somebody fighting and beating up somebody on this social media. It's interesting. It's just pop up on my stuff. Like I like it. So I'm gonna go to Colorado, right? Let me see if it's it's called Colorado Buffaloes football updates. I changed the name. Y'all go check that out. Colorado Football Bowl. That's my page on Facebook. It's a group, right? So I go to my page. Let me see. And I posted the flyer. Let me see, can it come up where I put it at? What I put it at. I know I reposted it. And it was interesting because it's proof. It's a receipt where it says top 10 quarterbacks. What's going on? It says top 10 quarterbacks. And it says per ESPN, October. No, this October. I don't know why I say October. Well, they posted October 2024. But this was before. You could tell that it was before the North Dakota game. But they posted this in October. It says Shedeur Sanders, number 1 quarterback. Cam Ward, number 2 quarterback. Carson Beck, we know what he did. Tank, number 3. This is before the season. Number 3 quarterback. Jalen Milroe, we know what he did. He has some very roller coaster-like season. Number 4. Quinn Ewing. He had a lot of talent around him. They didn't quite do what they want. They didn't know they want him Archer Manning. He was number 5. Garrett Newsomere. I think that's the one they trying to say come out next year. Number 6. Drew Allar at Penn. Number 7. Jackson Dart. Number 8. Miller Moss, USC. Number 9. 10. Curtis Rook. up there at what school is that? Is it Illinois? I think that's Illinois. So this is before the season started. This is before Shedeur even played a game last season. Did he play better? Now this is based off of the class he was in and based off of what he did the year before. The year before was a 4-8 season, which I said they stole a few games, but he showed himself clearly. We didn't know that Ward was coming back until the last minute. He came back. So now you're looking at the fact that before the season started, before all these other guys tanked, you didn't hear some names in there that end up coming before Shedeur in the draft. What did they do so significant during the season that justified them jumping Shedeur? Did Shedeur have a worse second season than the first season? Or a better one? So the way I see it is, if he was number one after a 4-8 season, and he don't have a better season, he was at 9-3 or whatever, how do you move him? What did he do to make you no longer a top quarterback? Because some of those people in that, they were top quarterbacks. That wasn't for that class. So he was the top quarterback, not for his class, but for that whole year. He was considered the top quarterback. What did he do to go from number one, being the top quarterback of the whole season? What did he do to go from that to, I don't know, barely even top 7 of his whole class, not including the other quarterbacks? If he won, if he had a winning season, if he took his team to a bowl game, which they haven't done in a long time, if he seen 3 other guys get drafted that he threw the ball to, and another one who's on the NFL roster. He has 4 receivers on the NFL roster right now. Or do you turn around and try to say that's the reason why he made it? I don't know. Or did he make them? Did he get the ball to them so they can put the numbers up to get recognized? Most of those guys are looking to have significant playing roles on their teams as rookies. 2 of them came from a lower level conference. They were good where they were, but they came from a lower level conference. So what do you say at the end of the day? How do you justify his production, what he accomplished, and say that he deserved it to, what they say, Shedeur slide? What did he do in that 12, 13 game period where he won 9 of them? What did he do to justify him dropping from where he was after a 4-8 season? That's the questions you go back to when you look at it. Because at the end of the day, he is considered one of the most accurate quarterbacks in his college career in history. I think he averaged somewhere around 73 to 74% completion rate. Now, we got a guy coming in this year who's really good, who they say can be one of the top quarterbacks, and I don't even think he even tapped into 60 yet. And Salter, and he's a running quarterback, he's good, and they said that's good. So what is Shedeur? If throwing in the 60s is good, and you're throwing consistently in the 70s, what is that? What it is a lot of things. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. When you look at what he accomplished, a lot of it has to do with the fact that if he has time to throw the ball, regardless of why, how, who, what, how, he and his numbers and his production show he's going to be highly effective. So if you put him in a shorts and shoulder pad, shorts and jersey situation, he's not finna skip balls off the ground. He's not about to be overthrowing people wide open. He's not going to be throwing it behind them and get it picked off. He don't throw a lot of interceptions. If anything, the most times I've seen him throw an interception is when he almost was comfortable. It's almost like he kind of lose focus a little bit. They say, Greg, the first team for Shedeur to practice with. The first team was 3-14 in 2024. Wow. 3. That about sound like Colorado. The so-called first team. Well, see, you gonna be that. The only way you can be 3-14, let me tell you something, Clyde. The only way you can be 3-14 at any level, that means you're not scoring points. It means your defense suck. But you gonna win more than 3 games if you can score. Especially out of all them games they play. So what it tells you is the quarterback performance was low. So they're bound to repeat that since they look like they're really good at finding the wrong quarterbacks or not putting them in a conducive situation for them. If they continue to make the wrong quarterback decisions, their results are going to be identical. Either you're going to put somebody out there who can put points on the board to put pressure on the other team, take pressure off the defense. The defense can't go out there every game. And I remember even with Colorado, you can't, either you're going to put a pressure on the offense to have to score a lot of points because defense can't hold it can't hold nothing. Or the defense going to have to hold everybody low because the offense can't score. And if we let anybody score more than 14 points because our offense sucks so bad, we got a high chance of losing. That's how you know our offense is struggling. When the defense, if they give up 3 touchdowns, they feel like the game over. And that should be a good thing, right, on average. But your team can't score, they struggling, you're going to lose. That's what that looks like. When you look at Shedeur, one thing he's going to do, 9 times out of 10, unless he just on his back every play, running for his life, running backwards and stuff. Hopefully, he don't stop doing that. He's gonna score points. He's gonna put touchdowns up. That's what he's doing already. He's showing you his history, and what he's doing now shows you that he has, out of the whole summer, have to be the most touchdowns. In this little window that he just had over the last 4 days, he's tied for touchdowns with Pickett. But if you look at the whole time, Shedeur always been on, no matter what camp they're in, he's always one of the top when it comes to touchdowns. He's always throwing the most touchdowns and the least interceptions combined, which fits his career. He's not a guy who threw for 20 touchdowns, but he threw for 11 interceptions. He's not just hacking at it like that. He may throw 20 touchdowns and 3-4 interceptions. And that can include a tip ball or receiver bobbing the ball, running the wrong route. You can include all of that. And then it can also include him just doing some bonehead and throwing the ball straight to him. But that ain't finna happen too often. He's not finna do that too often. He's not known for interceptions. He's known for touchdowns. This man go throw year after year 30-plus touchdowns and high 3,000 to 4,000 yards a season with less than 4, 5, 6 interceptions in the whole season. So when you look at it, his history, if you look at the data, what he's doing is a sample of what he's been doing. It's not abnormal. His passing percentage is identical every year. 73, 74. Even if you take the average, he may go down to it can range from 71 to 74% consistently. But people surprised. So who needs that more? A team who can't score? A team who has quarterback issues? Who needs a quarterback who, when he throw the ball, is more likely going to be caught and he's going to score? Because he's scoring 30-plus touchdowns a season. From freshman year all the way up. And he played all the years. He didn't sit on the bench for the first 2 years. That's the benefit of going where he went. He developed on the field. Watch the USC game versus Colorado. Caleb had around 12 seconds to throw the ball and should have 5 and less. Absolutely. It was never a fair comparison because you didn't give Shedeur the same line. that everybody else had. You didn't give him the same, really the same scheme. The scheme was always not beneficial for Shedeur because they didn't have to run the game to balance out. He barely had a tight end the first year. He didn't have really nothing the second year. He didn't have nothing to take the heat off of him. So all they knew, this pin our back, 9 out of 10, he gonna have to drop back and throw it every time. We're gonna run after him. Full speed and try to take his head off, and we ain't worry about nobody else. Cause we know nobody else ain't doing that. Yeah, you got receivers, but he gotta get it to him. So we're gonna bum rush him. And if they hand the ball off, that's gonna be a wasted play. A lot of touchdowns. And it becomes like something you kind of look at, like you take for granted when you see somebody do it that often. But you're not thinking about really, okay, once they leave, you compare the comparison. Oh, we used to that. And somebody else, they can't do the same thing. You can't expect them to do the same thing. But you also can look at the other teams and look at their stats. Because you just be watching your guy and critiquing your team. But when you look at these other teams, even if they win it, I'll give you a prime example about a team, how a team bail out a quarterback. They say that Mahomes, he won the Super Bowl last year. He didn't win, but he went, right? But he went there. And I seen Brady, I seen a lot of these guys go to the Super Bowl, and it wasn't because they had their best year. They say Mahomes' numbers was worse than a lot of the quarterbacks. They say that it was his worst year. Yet he still ended up in the Super Bowl. So many quarterbacks from a novice's eye can look at these guys and say, "Oh, these guys so good," but you ain't really looking at the numbers. You're not comparing them to the other quarterback team who going 500 because you automatically assume because they winning they got a better quarterback. But the reality is they also may have a 2,000-yard rushing running back. They also may have a tight end who got receiver numbers like a Kels. You also may have a couple receivers who are over 1,000 yards. And so you got some guys who are playmakers. And it takes the heat off the quarterback to have to make the play. He don't have to make the play. He just got to get the ball to a playmaker. Travis Hunter was a playmaker. So they would say, oh, well, Shedeur only made it because of Travis. Well, you can say that, but he had other guys to put up numbers too. So you can say, oh, they carried Shedeur. You can say that, but it don't matter who Shedeur with. He doing it in Cleveland. Every year, everybody who on that field become better. They put up numbers. Not just one guy. One guy gonna do what he do because he's the best player out there. You'll be a fool not to give him the ball. But what happens when the other guy's doing it too? So you can try to write it off all you want. But at the end of the day, let's see here. I believe Shedeur has already played with the ones with Cleveland measurement showing. They know the footage get out. No other quarterback will not get it. I don't know why they would even care. I mean, they may be, but that's a lot of hiding to be doing. That's a lot of hiding to be doing. Check out your live stream and G Bush live collab with Big Snacks. Okay, what's going on? Yeah, G Bush is up there with all that, so he's able to get some insight about what's going on, and that's the boots on the ground. The close thing you got the people who trying to be sensible, who's up there. It's not like you in Colorado and you got Bucky and you got all these different people to kind of keep an eye. He the closest thing right now because he's so far up, in a foreign land. So we depend on somebody like that to kind of get a realist. That's how this whole thing got out. Oh, he did well. Oh, he did that. Because nobody else there to see it. The next time you're going to be able to see it is when, preseason game or whatever. And that's about it. So it's good to know that he's getting some reps. It's good to know that the situation is possibly has some hope. But the only way people really can be surprised at what Shedeur is doing is they just totally ignorant of who he's dealing with. And you're not going to be able to do nothing with him if you put him on the field and he has time to throw the ball. He's going to outthrow history, production. It's all proves mathematically that if you put Shedeur in a game and the other guy in the game, if the other guy ain't been producing what Shedeur been producing, he gonna outperform him. So historically, through this count, it shows that Shedeur, no matter who he throwing the ball to, he's outperforming you. His percentage is higher, his touchdowns is higher, and his interceptions are lower. And that's very identical to why he was number one on that list last year. That's all it is. And that's pretty much all I want to say. We got to keep it all in perspective. You can't expect ignorant people to know the difference. They don't know the difference. They don't know them. We do. But you also got to remember, history shows you, if you do put Shedeur out there with that ball in his hand, he going to complete passes. He not finna go out there and have a 30, 40% day. That don't happen. He may get sat and ran around, but even through all of that, the man throwing 70% plus on every day. That's what he do. He gonna put 2-3 touchdowns in there every time he hit the field. He gonna throw touchdowns. He don't look up and throw touchdowns. He not a person who ever struggled to score points. Look at his numbers. So if Cleveland want to score touchdowns, they know who score touchdowns. They want to throw the ball. If they do want to throw the ball, I hear they might be run heavy or whatever. They better have a dominant offensive line. It's gonna be a boring whooping game because I'm tell you, the teams they got to play against gonna score. You got to have a quarterback that can score. You're not finna go out there and play this grudge match every week. You're not finna do that to no Ravens. You're not finna do that to the Eagles. You're not finna do that to whoever you run up against. These Steelers ain't. I don't even know who they got. Rodgers out there. Cincinnati gonna throw that thing. They gonna put that quarterback to the test. You can go out there and play that little grudge match you want. They're gonna boop boop touchdown. Now what? Now go run the clock out if you want to. That's the kind of situation they in. They gonna have a gunslinger because they got a conference full of gunslingers. Then they still got to go up there and play the Lions. They got some teams in there. They got gunslingers. They probably got one of the most gunslinging conferences when it comes to quarterbacks, young quarterbacks. Don't they got to deal with Buffalo too? Look what they schedule. They can play crazy if they want to. They can play crazy if they want to. They don't choose the right quarterback. Whenever it is, they in the wrong conference to put a subpar quarterback. That's why they records is what it is. They ain't in the type of conference where you can depend totally on the run. I'm sorry. They not in the type of situation. All them boys that they play, all the boys that they play, all of them are fighting every year to be in the playoff. They're not in the weak conference. They got to see Lamar. They got to see old boy up there with Bengals. They got to see all that. But like I said here, we shall see. Time moving fast enough, we ain't got to rush it. I'm going to go ahead and end it here on this wonderful Sunday Live. Y'all, I'm trying to get inspiration, motivation out. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Greg said it. I'll be talking to y'all soon. Y'all have a good one.